everybody, and welcome back to Workflows and Espressos. Happy Tuesday, or whatever day you're listening to this. I am always happy to be back with you, and part of my weekly routine at this point is recording, and it's always so fun to sit down and reflect and think about what I'm going to talk about next and what I feel is important and what is on my mind and on my heart and what I want to share. So, we're going to get into this week's episode soon, but I know you're all dying to hear. I'm getting married in 8 weeks, 9 weeks. I think 9 weeks from tomorrow, Friday. I'm recording this on a Thursday, so that's very confusing. 9 weeks from August 30th, which is tomorrow. And I'm so excited, but it's funny because anyone who's asked me about wedding planning over the last 6 months has said, "How's it going?" And my response has been, "Oh my god, it's so chill. Like, it's so easy. I'm so relaxed." And that is absolutely not the case anymore, and I think it's just because we are less than 3 months out. The 3-month mark is, when things started to pick up again, and so we're having meetings with the caterers and working on the seating chart, and I'm chasing after RSVPs, and I am currently curating my wedding wardrobe, which is very important. And my bachelorette party is in a little over a month now, which is so exciting. We are going to New York City where I got my wedding dress, and we're going to be hanging out in New York. I'm going to do my final wedding dress fittings. It's all going to be amazing. And so I'm working on my bachelorette party wardrobe and all the gifts that I want to give all my girls for coming. So anyway, it's very busy being a bride, okay? And it's also busy being a bride during the summer when work is insane, and it will stay busy in Jackson through the end of September. I'm sorry, my dog is wagging his tail and it is so annoying. So what has happened is I have decided to record this episode at 7 p.m. and I have not fed my dogs yet. So the entire episode they will be sitting at me, staring at me with eyes, wondering when they're going to be fed. And that's on me. And I understand that. Okay, back to me. Yeah, I'm really excited. Clark is so excited. He just got his suit last weekend, which is just I can't believe it's all coming together and is real. And I can't wait to talk about Puerto Rico. Knowing me, I'd want to do an entire episode talking through the wedding and every single detail of what happened, but we're not here for that. Okay. We are here to talk about industry trends. We're here to talk about professional development. Hint, hint. We're here to talk about the topics that are actionable, okay? And I just like to talk about me. And maybe that's a Libra thing. But let's discuss professional development. That is all about today's episode. And Annie Holcomb, who I love so much, Annie, you're amazing, listens to the podcast every week. I listen to her and Alex's podcast every week. It's our bonding moment. And she said she loved last week's episode and loved the fact that it was on professional development and conflict, which she also struggles with. And it's always nice to hear that you're not alone in struggling with conflict. So I started thinking through professional development and topics that were really important to me. And I think in general, conflict has been difficult for me, as we all know and heard, for about 30 minutes last week. But professional development in general, I have been lucky enough to work for 3 companies really that have really, really, really focused on the professional development of employees and doing things to enrich employees' lives to ultimately make them happier and higher performing at work and also give back in a way aside from compensation. And so thinking through everything that's been done for me over the last 10 years on the professional development side, I really wanted to talk about professional development here today. And there are kind of 2 sections to what I want to talk about. And the first section is going to be for employers. So if you're a manager, if you're an employer, if you own or run a business, I'm going to speak to you first and suggestions, things that I've seen, things that we've implemented at my company now and at my previous company, and things that I've seen employers do and have done myself that have really enriched and fulfilled me as an employee. And then I want to talk to employees and things that you can do to help yourself professionally develop, and then also tips on taking advantage if you are offered some professional development opportunities at your existing company. So, without further ado, the TLDR on professional development. Although, if you know me, there's nothing I do that's too long didn't read, okay? It's all long, and you do have to listen to all of it. Okay, so let's talk about you employers for a moment. I think, and I have said this, on basically every episode that I've recorded, and I think, this might be my 30th episode, maybe 29, maybe 25. Honestly, it's somewhere north of 20 and south of 30, okay? So, creating a culture of growth is so, so, so important to me, and I know it is so important to employers in our space in general, particularly those who have small businesses that are trying to cultivate a culture of retention and employee satisfaction. So, number one, I think it is very, very, very important and certainly not necessary, but important and is an incredible offering to employees to have some type of health and wellness initiative at your company. So a couple examples of these. The company that I worked for or that I work for now, the Outpost Group, we have a wellness benefit. And that either comes in the form of a bonus or it comes in the form of a ski pass to our local resort. So if you are not a skier or a snowboarder and you're not into the mountain activities of the downhill variety, then you can opt to take a bonus that is equivalent to that of what we offer the ski package employees. And this has been our way to really celebrate the fact that a lot of us moved to this town, not me, but I am embracing it, to take advantage of our mountain activities, to go skiing and snowboarding in the winter, and we recognize that that is a lot of the reason why employees move to Jackson Hole. Additionally, we want employees to spend their time outside enjoying the area around us because it makes them so much happier when they're at work. So, one thing that was established actually before I started with the company was this wellness benefit, and it is awarded every single year. And we encourage employees to take advantage of it and get out there and enjoy the outdoors. And if they are not skiers or snowboarders, we encourage them to take their wellness benefit and use it for cross country skis or to go on a snowmobiling trip or to take yoga classes if that's what they prefer. And it's been really, really great. And I think, over the last couple of years, especially, we've gotten so much positive feedback from employees who say, like, hey, I moved out here and I really want to have a career, but I also really want to enjoy the mountain. And to be able to do both has been very, very helpful for me. So, gym memberships, if you don't live in a mountain town, the previous company that I worked for put money toward a gym membership. So many gyms do corporate memberships. Ski passes, yoga studio memberships, I think are huge too. If you don't have a lot of gyms in your area, or let's say you have a lot of yogis in your company, paying or getting a corporate membership or a discounted rate at a yoga studio, I think is really, really, really cool and an awesome offering. And obviously, like, I love yoga myself and it's such a great relaxation tool. And I think it's just this to employees is highlighting the importance of a healthy lifestyle and overall something that will increase productivity and reduce burnout in the long run. I think that investing in health and wellness and encouraging employees to invest in their health and wellness as one of your core initiatives pays off in dividends. Like, if you decide to move forward with ski passes for your employees, like, okay, that might be pretty costly. Or if you decide to pay for a gym membership for everybody and it's $1,000 a year per employee. Like, that is an investment, especially if you have a large company. But on the flip side, there are so many other companies who don't invest in employees in this way. And I think when you come across, as an employee myself, when you come across a company that really, really invests in you and makes health and wellness a priority, retention is strong, right? You feel cared about. And so you want to stick around for longer. I talk, and Rachel has talked on the podcast too, about therapy and mental health support. So she offers access to mental health resources for her employees. And I think that that is so incredible. So if you have or know about Access, there is BetterHelp, which is an online platform that people can go to and be connected with a remote therapist. So if you give a stipend to be used on BetterHelp, is that right? BetterHealth. I think it is. Yeah. You can Google it. Anyway, there are lots of online therapies. I think Cerebral is another online company that provides therapy help, and I believe it's $89 a month. I don't know if they'd be interested in some type of corporate membership, but I do think that normalizing mental health conversations in the workplace and discussing burnout and the importance of work life balance and talking to somebody if you're struggling, there is always a fine line, right? When it comes to personal and professional and what we do and we don't want to share. And I completely respect those people that have very, very, very strong boundaries when it comes to that. But I do think that as time goes on and mental health is talked about more and more and more, I was telling my therapist this, I've been seeing her for 5 years now. When I first started seeing my therapist, I was like one of the only people I knew that was in therapy. And now, maybe this is me only gravitating toward people who go to therapy, but now all of my friends go to therapy and a lot of my coworkers do too. And it's pretty openly talked about. So I don't know. I think even if you don't decide to offer some type of mental health resource, just making mental health a topic in work life conversations and encouraging balance and talking to somebody if you are feeling down or depressed, I think is so, so, so important. You spend so much time at work, and there are so many times that I have had employees or I have been struggling with something and I felt afraid to talk to my employer about it when I knew that I was struggling with it performance wise. And what I love about Rachel is that she'll go to her employees or they'll come to her and say, "Hey, I'm struggling." And she will say, "Go to this therapist. I will pay the bill. I never have to know if you went or didn't go. I will never know what you talked about, but I will make sure that it is accessible for you." And I think that something I feel very passionately about personally is accessible mental health care. And I think that we don't have enough of it in the US and honestly in a lot of the world in general. So being a part of the change and making mental health care more accessible is great. So I will get off my soapbox about that now. Thanks for listening. So, health and wellness in general, I also think it's so fun if you have a fitness instructor that works at your company that would be open to teaching a yoga class or leading a meditation or doing a group run. It depends on how active your team is, but I always think that it's really fun to kind of do a group activity that's focused on exercise. And one thing we did at my previous company, we had either a yoga day or one employee was doing, I don't even remember, he gave a discussion talk on, I think it was work-life balance, and you could kind of choose which one you would go to. So, it all happened on a Friday and we were less busy, and it was, like, from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., and you could take, like, the company yoga class, or you could go and, like, sit in this seminar that one of our employees was leading. And it was a way for people who didn't feel comfortable going to take yoga to sit in on a class or couldn't do so health-wise. So I think offering those resources is great if you wanna do, like, a once a month workout class for the team. I think it's a great bonding opportunity and also, again, just prioritize this healthy lifestyle that increases that productivity that we wanna all see in employees. Dedicated time for personal development in general I'm a huge proponent of. So, the last company that I was working with, and one thing that I brought forward moving over to the Outpost group is encouraging personal time for growth within the scheduled workday, right? So, a lot of times you have salaried employees that work 50 hours a week. And my last company encouraged us to spend 1 hour a week during work hours for professional development use, and we discussed it with our manager on what worked best, and we were to block off a 1 hour a week, and even the CEO did it. It was great. It was, like, widely accepted to do something of our choice, and so a couple of examples, like, I took a coding class online, and our CEO took Spanish lessons. A lot of people would work out. Like, honestly, people would do an art class or take a masterclass session or meditate, really any activity that contributed to personal growth. And this professional development hour is what we called it, was incredible. And I would kind of schedule it around my busy days where I felt very, very high stress. And it was so great to get off meetings and then take an hour and go take a coding class. And coding was not even something that I needed to do for my job. It was just something that I wanted to personally develop for myself that I also think could help me later on in my career. And I don't know, I just appreciated that health time so much. And that is something that I have brought forth to the Outpost group because I was so grateful for it as an employee. And a lot of times, like, our employees use it to work out or to take a walk. We have our offices in a very walkable location with sidewalks. So a lot of times people would leave and say, will leave and say, I'm going to go take an hour-long walk, or I'm going to sit out and read, or I'm going to go eat lunch across the street and also do some Duolingo on my phone. And I think that it can be scary or seem unproductive as a leader implementing something that takes an hour away from productivity, quote unquote, during the workday. I also think that many times employees, myself included, do not work for 8 hours straight without a single break or without taking time to scroll on my phone or walk around the block for a second, right? Like, we all need breaks weaved in throughout our workday, and encouraging those as an employer. Like, there are so many times where I am more productive in a 2-hour time period after dinner and before bed than I am all day long at the office, because there's so many distractions. And it felt like that personal development time, or it feels like it, is this opportunity to give my brain a break, do something for me that isn't doom scrolling on my phone. And I come back feeling refreshed and being more productive in my workday. So take the plunge, and if 1 hour seems like a lot to you, then maybe 30 minutes a week. I just encouraging employees to cut out some time in their weeks to focus on themselves and their own personal growth. There are very few times that you get to spend with just you when you're not scrolling on your phone, or at least I find that to be true for myself. I think that you as an employer should do this for yourself too, specifically the CEOs and founders and co-founders. You are so busy and your day is wall to wall to wall to wall. I promise that hour will make all the difference. Learn to cook, read a cookbook, take a class of some sort. There are so many free resources online. Implement it this week. I dare you. And then flexibility in these development activities, I think, is something worth discussing as well. Like, this development doesn't have to be directly related to job tasks, but it should be enriching, which is why I say doom scrolling, right? So make that clear. Like, hey, this time is not meant to be used scrolling online shopping, aka Megan. This isn't meant to be used looking at Instagram or, doing something that isn't enriching to your life. Go read a book, go do something. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to In Haven Insights. I have one of my favorite people in the world here with me today. Ashley, what do you have for us this week?
Hey, Megan. So, as you know, InHaven is a procurement platform dedicated to the vacation rental industry, and we work with hundreds of property managers representing tens of thousands of listings. And one trend that we see is that property managers, especially those with over 50 properties, or so looking to scale, there's a growing focus on creating and optimizing linen programs as a way to not only enhance the service quality in your operations, but to also generate new revenue streams. And so by working closely with us, property managers can develop a linen program with tailored pricing strategies, and we work with them closely to do so. We explore, modeling it out, whether they charge that cost back to their owners on a quarterly, monthly, annual basis, or by charging their guests as part of the resort or cleaning fee.
Ashley, I love it. So, beyond the pricing strategies, do you do anything else with property managers to help them implement linen programs?
Yeah, so we do. We provide support in creating marketing materials to help our customers transition their existing owners onto the new linen program. And this really ensures a smooth and beneficial shift.
I know those marketing materials can be so useful when communicating with owners. So I love it. Ashley, how can people reach out to you if they want to learn more about this for their own business?
Yeah, so if you're looking to start a linen program or just optimize your existing linen program, please do reach out to me at ashley@inhaven.com or visit our website. We love helping professional property managers optimize their operations and explore new revenue opportunities.
Amazing. See you next week. And then I think for employers, providing additional learning opportunities aside from the day to day is very, very important. So, a couple of recommendations that I have. Number one, bringing in some experts. So, whether this is some type of guest speaker or someone in your company who's an expert on something. So, one thing I was thinking about this morning when I was planning for this episode is AI and ChatGPT in particular. I would love someone who is an expert on ChatGPT to come in and talk to my team and I and tell us like every single thing they use ChatGPT for and like how to hack it, how to ask questions to get the best responses, how to figure out how to get the response that you want in the shortest amount of time, right? Like they're like Google, for example, there's a way to make sure that you're putting in the keywords that are going to make you more efficient, and ChatGPT is the same way. And I think this is a way to encourage the use of AI because it's becoming more and more and more and more. It's becoming more prevalent now. And I think having a workplace that encourages the use of ChatGPT when appropriate, of course, is really, really cool. Another thing, having an expert come in and talk to your team about email marketing, right? Have them come in and talk to your marketing team alone, or have an expert come in and talk about effective communication with clients and the best way to have retention. I think this can be hard because this can be costly, right? And if you have the opportunity to pay somebody to come in for some type of professional development or learning opportunity, I think that is incredible and worth budgeting for. But if you don't, talk to your friends, talk to other business owners in the community. And I think it's the same reason we go to conferences and sit in the keynotes, right? When you sit and you listen to somebody that has a different perspective or is motivating or is an expert in their field, it is motivating, like you leave feeling jazzed up and energized. And I think even doing like a company lunch once a month where you have someone come in, not every time, right? Because sometimes you want to just kind of hang out and screw off a little bit, but maybe you want to have somebody come in for a lunch and learn once a month. I don't know, I think it's so cool and is can be really, really motivating and energizing to employees just to provide that new perspective and knowledge that you might otherwise not be able to give. Team building retreats and workshops, I'm also a huge fan of. So creating opportunities for employees to bond, and that's kind of like even, like, doing a run club once a month or taking gosh, what is one thing that we did? Oh, we did a ski day, a team ski day 2 years ago, and it was honestly kind of hard because we all lost each other and couldn't find each other on the mountain, and so it wasn't very team-esque. I was certainly going alone, but I'm also very slow going down the mountain. But any type of group, like, bonding activity, and I like to do them during work hours, and that could be frowned upon for those who don't believe in any type of fun during the 8 to 5 business day, but I'd pick a Friday where I knew that everybody was gonna be working. We'd work until noon, and then we'd go out to the mountain for the rest of the day, and we'd bring in lunch and or do a happy hour afterward, and we'd all go to the mountain and hang out for that day. Or if there's a concert in town, I mean, I think it is easier to have people come together during work hours for this, like, team bonding than it is to try to ask for more time from your employees away from their families or their friends on their off time. So I tend to, as a leader, like to do any type of like bonding or workshops during the workday, but I also understand that that can be complicated when you have work orders coming in and you need people on the phone. So if you organize coverage in such a way, or if you close your office for an hour, like I'm not suggesting that you take 3 days, but a half day or even 1 hour makes a difference. I also think that honestly, you guys are gonna be like, "Megan, you have to stop talking about this. You talk about it every single episode." Just encouraging your managers to mentor employees and lead by example, I think is the foundation for professional development in so many ways. Like, it doesn't matter what your wellness benefits look like, and if you're doing a team lunch once a month, or if you have John Smith come in to talk about email marketing to your team, if you have shitty managers in place who your team doesn't really like reporting to because they don't feel like they're learning anything every day. I think that this is a pyramid. It's similar to the food pyramid, and at the very bottom is just making sure that you have good managers in place, and this is, like, a whole other topic, but something that I think is so important to recognize is not every single person is meant to be a manager, and I think a lot of times within the corporate structure, promotions look like, "You're a manager now, and you have people reporting to you," and I think that that is so, like, fucked up, to be honest, in a lot of ways where not everybody's meant to be a manager, but that doesn't mean that they can't be successful and should experience growth within their career. So, I think it's important, number 1, to pick people that are right to be managers, give them the tools that they need to be successful, and encourage them to be mentors and lead by example. There are so many benefits of mentorship, and the fulfillment that it leads to is so significant within the workplace, and the retention that it leads to is insane. So, I will also get off my soapbox on this. Clearly have a couple hills to die on tonight. And again, another thing that I talk about pretty constantly, but I think falls under this like learning opportunities bucket within the workplace is just this continuous feedback culture, fostering an environment where feedback is constant and constructive and is encouraged in the workplace, and then implementing regular check-ins and reviews, I think is just so, so, so important to an employee's professional development. And honestly, if you're like me and you don't like giving constructive feedback, it is very constructive for your professional development as well. Actually, there's one more point that I think is so great. So, within this professional development framework, if you have the budget to subsidize some type of educational program, so like a Duolingo membership or Coursera or LinkedIn Learning or Udemy, I think is something really cool to put within your professional development budget. I also understand that only professional development budgets can be implemented once you're at a point where you're making enough money to identify resources that can go there of the financial variety. But if you are at that point, I definitely recommend some type of subsidy toward those educational programs. Okay, let's get into employees. All right, we're going to talk about how you can take charge of your own growth a little bit. So I think step one for you is to proactively seek more learning opportunities. And that looks like a couple of things. It looks like asking for more. So, approaching your supervisor or your manager or the CEO, whoever you report to, and ask about more opportunities. Whether this is learning new skills or attending some type of training program to be better in your field or understanding what your opportunities for growth are. I think in any role you have, you should understand if this is something you want, of course, what growth looks like for you, and have ask. I was trying to say have and ask at the same time, and it really turned into something that made no sense. Ask your supervisor what growth looks like for you in your position. And if they don't know, try to figure it out with them. But not every path has to be very clear, but there should be some type of opportunity for you to grow more within the company and within your current role if you're meeting the expectations or exceeding the expectations that have been set by the company. So, number 1, just ask for more. And number 2, utilizing the benefits that you have if you are with a company that is offering those benefits. So, if you have unlimited PTO, I'm not telling you to go take 6 months off. I hope none of my employees are listening to this right now. I'm just kidding. I hope they are. But take time off that makes you feel rested. You still need to be meeting your deadlines and ensuring that you're meeting expectations, but I think it can be really, really scary when you have this mindset of wanting to succeed so badly. There can be an insecurity about taking time off away from the workplace. And I promise you, you are a better employee and a better person to be around when you are rested. If you get a wellness stipend or some type of gym membership, utilize those. There are so many companies that don't provide these benefits. If you're with a company that does, take advantage of it. You might not be there forever. And maybe that's of your own doing and maybe it's not. But I just think that it's really cool that 2024, almost 2025, is this era of making sure employees feel fulfilled when the workplace 50 years ago or even 20 years ago wasn't that way. And we have more resources available to us at our fingertips that should certainly be taken advantage of. Okay, number 2, we're going to start leveraging some feedback for growth. All right. Listen, constructive feedback sucks to hear. I understand it sucks to give. Okay, take it from me. But Asking for feedback regularly is going to change your life, and it's gonna be uncomfortable, and you're not gonna wanna hear it. Maybe, it depends on what Enneagram you are, honestly. Um, it's uncomfortable to hear the things that you aren't doing great at or the things that you could certainly do better at, and I appreciate reporting to somebody that was like, "Hey, you're not very good at giving constructive feedback." And it allowed me to be like, "Damn, I am really bad at that. How can I be better?" And ask for help. Can I sit in on conversations where you're giving constructive feedback and learn a little bit from you because you are really good at giving that feedback? Ask for feedback constantly. Seek feedback from supervisors, seek feedback from your peers. They're the ones that have to work next to you, and then be open when you receive it. And then after being open, make sure that you're applying that feedback, okay? Develop a strategy to implement the feedback that you receive into your daily work practices, and I can tell you that within 3 months, you're gonna feel like a different person. Okay, number 3, building your network and finding mentorship. So, if you work for a company where you don't feel like you have strong leadership or a mentor or a network of peers, somewhere where you like don't feel comfortable to ask for feedback or you don't feel like you'd really receive feedback if you did ask for it, or if you feel like you really aren't giving a whole lot of opportunities to getting a whole lot of opportunities to professionally develop. I was formerly a LinkedIn, not necessarily like a critic, but more so I didn't understand the positive impact that LinkedIn could have. And now I will tell you that LinkedIn has been invaluable to my career. We are a part, if you're in the vacation rental industry, we are a part of an industry that is so open that we should be taking advantage of it. People are open to helping, people are open to mentoring. If you're a woman, go to the Women's Summit. It happens every 2 years, and we did a mentorship program last year, and it was absolutely incredible. Seek out industry professionals for guidance. If you message 5 people on LinkedIn, I guarantee you 3 of them will at least will respond to you and be willing to get on a call with you and help you out. I think that it can be really scary reaching out to strangers, especially on LinkedIn or people that post a lot that you kind of feel like sit up on a pedestal, but I just feel like we are a part of an industry that is so unique in so many ways, and we have so many people that are willing to help out anyone and taking advantage of that network. Honestly, whether you do have a good mentor at work or you don't, I think you can never have too many people to learn from. So engage on LinkedIn, utilize your network. I used to make fun of it too. And I promise you, like, I appreciate LinkedIn now in my life more than I ever have. Maybe that's just because I'm getting older and the Gen Zers are like, no, it's all about TikTok now. And I'm like, no, you need to get on LinkedIn. Okay, 2 more topics, and then I swear we'll get to the end of this, okay? The real TLDR. Okay, so number 4, invest in self-directed learning. So what this looks like is Duolingo. I'm honestly Duolingo should sponsor me. I've been doing a lot with Duolingo on this episode. Can you tell I really wanna learn Spanish? Clark is fluent in Spanish, and it's so frustrating because I absolutely am not. Okay, so enrolling in online courses. We are so lucky now in the age of the internet that we have the access to. There are so many free courses online. I decided a couple years ago that I wanted to learn Python, a coding language. Never actually learned it, but I certainly took Coursera classes for a month and then it dropped off. I also am I think I have a lot of ADHD, so I'll start a hobby and then it will like go into my dead hobbies bucket. A couple years actually last summer, I decided that I was gonna crochet. So I crocheted, I wanna say half of a blanket, and I think I eventually got rid of it because it was, like, kind of a scarf at this point, but listen, we all have our hobbies, okay? Pick a hobby and that can lead to some growth. I am not suggesting you go out and try to read 20 business books in a year, but start small, okay? Say you want to read 1 business book every 6 months. I think that that's totally fine. Say you wanna learn how to code or you wanna take a public speaking course or you just wanna listen to 1 industry related podcast a week. It can be small. Baby steps make a difference. You will still get through the Great Wall of China. It's just 1 foot in front of the other. identifying skills that could enhance your role or future career aspirations, and then take those courses accordingly. I You will find it interesting. It's worth taking the time to do if you get a professional development hour or if you implement that for yourself or your company. Take a course, okay? I love a course. I love Coursera, honestly, and Udemy for that matter. And then staying updated with industry trends, which I think kind of goes back to the podcast community. Alex and Annie have a great podcast. Sarah and T have a great podcast. The Art of Hospitality is a great podcast. Of course, Slick Talk, my boy, my bestie, Will, has an incredible podcast. There are so many resources available at our fingertips. And I think it can be really easy to kind of let that fall by the wayside because we all are really, really busy people that have a nonstop job. So make time to do it, I promise, it'll pay off. And that is where I'm gonna leave you, honestly. I was gonna go for more, but I feel good about what we talked about, okay? More than anything, employers, if you take nothing away from this call, understand that it is our job to make sure that we are providing a workplace that is enjoyable and productive and is representative and supportive of learning and opportunity and growth, and professional development is a key piece of that. Find a professional development strategy for your company, whether it is nothing on my list or everything on this list or a bunch of new things that you come up with. Find a strategy. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money, and implement it, and it will pay off in dividends. Employees, I know that you're busy, you're burnt out, you're tired, and the goal is always, I got to go to work and I need to feed my family and I want to make sure I get along with my coworkers and I don't hate what I do every single day. But you can have more than that. You can build a path for yourself that leads to growth and fulfillment. And it is possible to enjoy coming to work every single day. And I think that that is a privilege in a lot of ways, which is why I think there are supplemental resources out there. If you don't love your job every single day, things that you can do aside from that that lead to overall professional development and your growth later on. But I also think that finding a job that encourages your professional development is freaking worth it every single time. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in with me. And I know I said that we were gonna have a guest on this week, and we are going to. I don't wanna promise next week because I'm having so much fun on this professional development topic, and I don't know, I might keep it going next week, we'll see. I'm kind of a last minute type of gal if you didn't know, but if there are any other professional development topics you wanna hear about, let's talk about it. Bring it up to me. Workflowsandespressos.com, baby, right into Ask Meaghan. I am so grateful for each and every one of you, and I can't wait to talk to you again next week. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.